All right, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Delhi Capitals are still unbeaten in the 2025 season of the Tata Indian Premier League, following a relatively comfortable 6-wicket win over Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Centre-back RCB got off to a flying start, scoring 61 runs in 3.4 overs, courtesy of Phil Salt's 17 ball 37. However, things went downhill thereafter. The Challengers lost 7 wickets for 64 runs before Tim David's unbeaten 37 carried them to 163 for 7 from their allotted 20 overs. Delhi Capitals made a horrid start to their reply, losing 3 wickets in the power play for 39 runs. Captain KL Rahul was joined at the crease by Tristan Stubbs with the score at 4 for 58 in the 9th over. The pair put on an unbeaten 111-run partnership to reach the target with 2 overs and a ball to spare, in the process extending their unbeaten start to 4 matches. Rahul top scored with 93 while Stubbs contributed 38. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, the pick of the RCB bowlers, with 2 for 26. Capitals now join Titans on 8 points, but in second on net run rate. The RCB team remaining in third despite the loss. Punjab Kings there in 4th position at this stage. Sunrisers Hyderabad at the bottom of the table. All right, let's get some post-match reactions from both camps.
It's the way we have seen the wicket earlier. I think that was quite different. We thought, I think it will be a nice batting trick, but at the end, I think we have not batted well. Every batsman is in a good frame of mind. I think everyone has shown the proper intent, but at the end, I think 80 for 1 and then straight away 90 for 4. I think that is not acceptable on this trick. You have a nice batting lineup, so I think we have lack in assessing the situation and condition.
It was a slightly tricky wicket, but I think what helped me is just being behind the stumps for 20 overs and just watching how the wicket played. And I knew it was from wicket keeping, I figured there was the ball sat in the wicket a little bit, but it was consistent throughout. It wasn't too pace. It was one pace, and it just sat in the wicket a little bit. So I knew what my shots are. So just wanted to get off to a good start, be aggressive initially, and then assess it from there. And that's what I did.
Yeah, so the Delhi Capitals getting another win in the Indian Premier League, and KL Rahul, the man guiding the chase, Lance Whitaker, another fine innings. And yesterday we were talking about traditional batsmen having success in the T20 format, and here was another excellent example today.
Yeah, we keep talking about that, and for years we've been saying that at the moment India is like a factory of producing outstanding world-class cricketers, and we see them emerging all the time in the past decade or so in the IPL, and then rising to the international levels and continuing to do well. So really strong performance today from the Delhi Capitals, who have been undefeated so far in the tournament. And apart from their opening game, Ricardo, when they won by just 1 wicket with 3 balls to spare against the Lucknow Super Giants, they have won all of their other games really comfortably, and we, emphasize that we are still early in the tournament, but it's always good to be winning, and the Delhi Capitals must be very comfortable with where they are at the moment, even though based on net run rate, they are not the tournament leaders.
Yeah, and one of the things I always look for when I'm looking at some of these innings, especially in the T20 format of the game, where are the batsmen scoring? And I was having a close look at KL Rahul innings today, and one of the beautiful things about it is the fact that he was scoring all around the park. 93 runs, 50 coming on the offside, 43 coming on the onside. So there's a balance which makes it even more difficult for bowlers to operate at him, because it's not as if he is one-sided. He is capable of playing square of the wicket. He's capable of playing in front of the wicket. So, for example, of the 50 runs on the offside, 23 of them behind square, 27 of them in front of the wicket. Yeah. Then on the onside, 22 behind square, 21 in front of square. And when you're bowling to a batsman that has the ability to operate 360, it becomes so much more difficult as a bowler to keep a particular lines and lengths. And I just thought it was a fantastic innings, especially because they were in trouble, chasing 170 runs to win. and you are 3 or 4 down with just 60 on the board, there is some amount of pressure associated with that. But that is where, for me, quality batting comes in, and being able to trust your defense and then to be able to transition into attack as well. And I thought KL Rahul did a fabulous job at that today, because it also came at a pretty good clip, 93 of 53 deliveries.
Yeah, and when we were talking about Sai Siddharthan yesterday, it was a similar situation with him, because he's a type of batsman as well that isn't, offside or onside dominant based on how he's scoring. He scores from almost equally from all sides of the ground, to all sides of the ground. I could add, though, that even though there are batters like Nicholas Pooran, who in his case scores mostly on the onside, he's still difficult to bowl at because he's highly skilled. And his foot movement and his movement on the delivery of the ball, he has the ability to position himself to strike the ball wherever he wants. So in the case of skillful batsmen like Nicholas Pooran, the fact that they may be dominant in scoring on the onside doesn't really help the bowlers, because he is skilled enough to position himself to hit the ball and strike the ball where he wants to.
Yeah, but I think at least, and I completely agree with you, but I think when you have players who are able to score different sides of the wicket, both in front of square and behind square, yes, and naturally as well, it makes it more difficult for captains in terms of setting fields. I think generally, you're bowling to Nicholas Pooran, you're going to have a deep mid-wicket, maybe a deep square, because those are the areas he's going to target. Whether on his day, when he is clearing the boundary at will, there's absolutely nothing you're going to be able to do.
That's the point I was going to make.
The fact remains, you still feel as if you have a chance. You still feel as if there is clarity as to where you need to set the fielders. That you have a much better idea of the areas he will target. I don't think it's the same with players like KL Rahul, and there are other players as well. It's not just KL Rahul, because of their ability to expose different areas of the cricket field. It becomes more difficult, because if you're driving well through the offside and you pack that area, and he takes the same delivery and drags it through the onside with the same relative ease, then as a captain, you're going to yourself, okay, what do I do now? Yeah,
now that's certainly true. And there are batters who are highly skilled at that. So you set fields for them, and they find ways to get around it. I've spoken to people who have batted with Brian Lara.
Oh, gosh.
And they tell you the stories that Lara just manipulates the fields and manipulates the brain of the opposing captain, almost, playing shots to dictate where the captain may likely make his field adjustments so he can then play the ball where he wants to play the ball. But Brian Lara isn't a normal player, and there aren't many in the world like him. Yeah, Brian Lara is definitely not a normal player. And just when you said, before you even called his name, he was the player that came to mind when you're speaking about manipulating the field. Brian had this unbelievable ability to pick gaps where there were none. And I mean that in its truest sense. Because you could have a extra cover, you could have 2 extra covers, and you think the offside is now packed. You could have a couple on the boundary, and somehow Brian Charles Lara finds a gap, and you're like, how on earth did he do that? The man was magnificent beyond belief. And I think I've said this before, Lance. If I'm having a bad day, if there are bad results with West Indies cricket, I just go back and watch a Brian Lara innings and I'm good again. So you didn't do that after the West Indies women's loss? I went and watched the Stefani Taylor innings. I hear. So are you any closer to picking an IPL winner than Ricardo? No. Or it's still too early? It's way too early. Yeah, I'll pick a winner before the final. That's too late, though. I think it's that close, though. I think it's that close in this season's IPL. And yes, we've seen Delhi win 4 in a row. Still early days, but I think all the teams have quality. And I know we say this a lot when it comes on to tournaments, but I think these are 10
quality teams that we're looking at. And once they get their act together on any given day, either can win, any team can win. And that's just the truth when it comes on to this tournament. And it's real kudos to the Indian Premier League, to the IPL, that they've increased the numbers to all of 10 teams, and it is still this competitive. Yes, so I guess it vindicates that decision to have 10 instead of 8 teams in the Indian Premier League. But yeah, as I said, at least give me until the playoffs.
Just 4 points separating the top 7 teams and 2 points separating the top 5 teams. So that's how close things are. But we're just 5 rounds into the tournament, so we know that there is still a lot of cricket to be played. The playoffs starting on the 20th of May.
Yeah, very much the case. All right, that's it for IPL cricket, and one of our sponsors will be joining us next, and they have some exciting offers for you and maybe Lance too. Huh.